That is such a relevant question today, because as we saw this morning when we saw Saskia, who I remember interviewing when she was 10 years old, and to hear Saskia talking now as an adult, 20 years later, about the impact that values-based education has had on her and the way she lives her life was really amazing. I have a number of examples. There's a boy who worked with me at West Kidlington School, and from time to time I interview him, and he says very similar things. Anecdotally, teachers tell me of the effect it's having on their students. So I think it's living up to all my expectations. The danger is that we expect people, if they've had values-based education, to be somehow perfect human beings that don't have the normal wobbles of life. What we know is that people will have the ups and downs of life. They may behave at times slightly inappropriately and not in a values-based way. But what the values work does is enable them to come back to their default position much quicker. It's like having another voice running in your head, so that you've got the VbE voice that says to you, hang on here, just take a pause, slow down, and return to your authentic self, and then talk again. So this is what educators, parents, communities are finding more and more. As my wife Jane said when she first came around values-based schools, she said there's a palpable different quality about values-based schools, which is this what we call the essence of human beings as they can be. So what values-based education does is allow you to be the authentic you. So I'm seeing it everywhere now, and it's a great thrill to me when teachers and others come up to me and say, wow, we actually see it works, Neil. What happens is that by reflecting on the way you are, so I can reflect on my personality and I think, oh yeah, I've got that aspect of me. Does some things need the volume turned up? So through the 7 pillars of values-based education, the student is introduced to a way of being which nurtures the authentic self. As child development colleagues will tell us, when we enter the world, we have to learn to be in relationship with those who we meet. Now, in an ideal family, you will meet people who are nurturing, caring, but not all children have that. So we learn to adapt, and that means our authentic self has to be in some way emasculated. It's not allowed to show up. So we learn to be the goody-goody, or we learn to be the quiet one in the family. And that's what I mean by adaptation. So what the values-based classroom does and school is allow you to be who you were meant to be. It says, look, you have goodness, you have respect, you have cooperation. All these qualities are within you. They are a part of your essence. Yes, you have other bits of you that come back through thousands of years, which you can put a blanket term on called the shadow. But the values work helps you to be in control of that shadow and allows you to be who you're meant to be. And if we could only get everybody in the world just acting from their true essence, the people would feel better, they would have healthier and more wonderful lives. Their relationships with other people would be vastly improved. So the benefits are just enormous. That's a very, very penetrating question. Why now? Because I think the time is right. I think VbE has an evolution. We were seeing how the vocabulary was affecting children. we were seeing how reflection helped them. And we then began to think, well, is there a missing element in basic education? Is there something that's missing? And I've been saying to folk for many, many years, please look at yourself, think about yourself. Then I started to think, well, let's go deeper than this. What's missing in the school system is an emphasis on an inner curriculum. The inner curriculum is the internal world of thoughts, feelings, emotions, and sensations. It's that world that's real, but you can't get hold of it. You can get hold of my wrist, but you can't get hold of that internal world. But it's still real, it leads us. So I believe in these days where mental health is a great worry, resilience, well-being, that we need to go to the basic, very deep causes of it. What we see in all sorts of initiatives led by governments and others is a papering over of the real issues. Let's put in more help to schools. Not, oh, is the school actually doing things that create the mental ill health? Putting in an extra person to help with mental health issues won't actually solve the core problems. But if you have an inner curriculum whereby the children and the adults actually can understand themselves. Why do I feel worried at the moment? Why am I losing my temper? Why am I irritated? And then you begin to understand, well, that's a natural part, but I can monitor that and I can change those states. I can change them by coming into myself, becoming peaceful, taking a few minutes of what we call a brain break, which just gives time to quieten down, and then I can be in better relationship with myself and others.